The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, arguably one of the most controversial Zelda games ever at launch, has since become a classic with its timeless visuals, amazing story, tight combat, and fantastic music. Having played the game at launch, Wind Waker is one of my favorite games of all time, so what better way to show my love for this game than to 100% it. Now, Wind Waker is a massive game, and I mean massive. So what constitutes 100% for Wind Waker? We must collect all the heart pieces, all upgrades, chart the entire map, collect all treasure maps and the sunken treasure, complete all side quests, and of course, complete the main story. You may be asking yourself, what about the figurines? Technically, on a first playthrough, it's impossible to get all the figurines as you don't get the colored pictograph until pretty late into the game. Also, speedrunners don't require figurines and they're 100% runs, so neither am I. Of course, with all my other 100%s, this challenge was completed on original hardware and streamed on my Twitch, so feel free to drop by if you want to be featured in one of these videos. With all that out of the way, let's begin the challenge. The story begins with you waking up on Outset Island on the lookout tower and your sister reminding you that it's your birthday. After we head on over to Grandma's house and receive the hero's clothes from her, they fit like a glove, and we head back over to the lookout tower and your sister gives you the telescope as your birthday gift. Using the telescope, we see the Helmrock King flying over our island and it gets hit with a cannonball and drops a blonde-haired girl in the forest at the peak of the island. Before we can investigate, we head to Orca's and receive our sword. After some fighting lessons, we can now head up to where we saw the girl dropped. Eventually crossing a bridge, we make our way into a cave and see the girl hanging from a tree. We battle some bokoblins and save the girl from the tree she was stuck on. Turns out her name is Tetra, and with the girl saved, we can head on out. Unfortunately, our sister is mistaken for Tetra and the Helmrock King kidnaps her. Visibly upset, we go back to Grandma's to deliver the news. Devastated understanding of what we must do, she gives us a shield. Before we give chase via the pirate ship Tetra's crew is on, we have a few things to do. Firstly, we go into a crawl space under Grandma's house and find an orange rupee worth 100. We then collect a few pigs that have gotten out of their pen and then swim over to a makeshift shop run by a man named Beetle, and we can purchase a bait bag, some pears, and as much all-purpose bait as we can. This will be very important later on. With all of that out of the way, we can begin our voyage with the pirate crew to the Forsaken Fortress. Aboard the pirate ship, we have one goal, and that's obtaining the spoils bag. In order to do that, we must complete a jumping puzzle that our pirate friend Nico has set up, which is just swinging from one platform to another until we reach the door on the other side. After we complete the puzzle, Nico rewards us with the spoils bag. We're then alerted to head above deck and we have arrived at Forsaken Fortress. Forsaken Fortress is heavily guarded, so Tetra has the brilliant idea to put us in a barrel and launch us incognito at the fortress. In doing so, we lose our sword and now we do our best Metal Gear Solid impersonation. Forsaken Fortress is an interesting place. Think of it as a stealth mission in Zelda. As we make our way through the fortress via barrel camo, we get our first piece of heart. We then purposely get captured and thrown in jail in order to access some more areas of the fortress. We defeat some bokoblins to shut down the spotlights and enter my childhood room of despair. I was stuck in this room for weeks as a kid, but we can finally say it has been conquered. We make our way to the peak of the fortress and retrieve our sword and battle a green bokoblin. Inside the fortress, we see our sister and a bunch of other girls in a cage. Before we can free them, the Helmrock King scoops us up and shows us to Ganondorf. He promptly tells the king to yeet us into the ocean, but we are saved by a mysterious red boat. Waking up within the boat, we're at Windfall Island. The boat introduces itself as the King of Red Lions. He tells us the story of Ganon and how he came to power. Before we can embark, he mentions we'll need a sail to travel the Great Sea. Before we grab our sail, we listen to the tales of woe of an old man, and he mentions his daughter Maggie was captured and taken to the Forsaken Fortress. We then head to the local jail where the Minecraft YouTubers are held and release Tingle, the resident cosplay enjoyer. He gives us the Tingle tuner and the Tingle chart. We head deeper into the jail and get the Picto Box. We head to the local shop and voila, a sale is for sale. Our hooded friend gives us the sale for 80 rupees. With the sale in hand, it's time to knock out one of the more annoying minigames, the RNG Cannon Simulator. After completing it, we collect another piece of heart and 2 treasure charts. We then head to the top floor of the auction house and hear another tale of a kidnapped girl. Heading out, we check out the Picto Box house, and we need to snag some picks. After we grab 3 needed picks, we are officially the cameraman's assistant. We meet the child gang, Killer Bees, and we meet their teacher, Miss Marie. She mentions she needs help with the Killer Bees, so it's our job to straighten them out. We let them know, and they challenge us to a game of hide and go seek. We easily find the children and go get our next piece of heart. Miss Marie is elated, and the Killer Bees let us know that she loves joy pendants, and this will be very important later on. With Windfall wrapped up for now, we let the King of Red Lions know we have the sail and we can head out to the Great Sea. Our next destination is Dragon Roost Island. Along the way, we meet a group of scuba steves and they give us a treasure chart. We come across a domed island and we get another piece of heart. With that out of the way, we arrive at Dragon Roost. The King of Red Lions gives us the Wind Waker, which is basically this game's version of the Ocarina. Our goal here is to meet the Rito people, which are what the Zoras evolved into, and the postman of Wind Waker. We meet up with the postman and he invites us inside. Valu, the dragon atop the island, is angry and the Rito people are wondering why. We're told that Medley has something for the chief's son and we meet up with her before we embark and we're given the delivery bag. We find Medley and are given father's letter. Medley mentions going to the Dragon Roost Cavern entrance later, so let's go check on the chief's son. We give the letter to his son, who lacks the courage to see Valu, and he basically says he'll beat the dungeon. Before heading to the dungeon, we complete the Postman game, which is a matching the seals on letters to the boxes game. We then meet with Medley at the cavern entrance, and she has us toss her over the broken bridge. She's going to meet with Valu, so surely nothing will go wrong. Before our departure, she gives us our first empty bottle, and we use it to hydrate a bomb flower and unblock the spring. With the spring unblocked, we can swim across and can now access our first dungeon. Dragon Roost Cavern serves as the Deku Tree of dungeons. Traversing through the dungeon, we grab another treasure chart and make our way to an outdoor staircase and our first mini-boss fight. Medley is captured, we defeat some moblins and free her, and she rewards us with the grappling hook. This is an excellent tool for gathering joy pendants from enemies along with other collectibles such as Chew Jelly and Night Crest. Now back inside the dungeon, we come across a room with lava snacks, and we use them to weigh down a switch and grab the boss key. Before we fight the boss, we grab our final treasure chart in this dungeon. With everything collected, we can now take on Goma. We give Valu's tail a nice tug with our grappling hook to break Goma's shell, and with some nicely timed slashes, Goma is defeated. We grab a heart container and Valu is alleviated. The chief's son admires our courage and we receive Din's Pearl. Before we leave Dragon Roost, we complete the Postman challenge again and get Note to Mom that we promptly put in the mailbox. We head on over to the Wind Shrine and learn Wind's Requiem, which allows us to change the direction of the wind. We meet Zephos and he mentions his brother Cyclos that likes to create cyclones. With Dragon Roost complete for now, we head on out. As we leave, we're stopped by a fish cartographer and he explains the concept of using bait to map the whole map of Wind Waker. We make our way back to Windfall and we meet a spry fellow that loves our Wind Waker and he teaches us the Song of Passing. This song allows us to switch from day and night. With night active now, we head on over to the auction house and win a treasure chart. We then check the postbox and the mom we sent a letter to back on Dragon Roost has responded and we receive another piece of heart. We find enemy sub and defeat some enemies and grab a second empty bottle. We then arrive at Forest Haven. We head inside and find honestly one of the best looking places in any Zelda game. We meet the Deku Tree who is sworn by Chews and we destroy them and save the Deku Tree. The Deku Tree mentions the next pearl we need, and as he's talking we meet the Koroks. They need to perform a ceremony for us, but it's stopped as Makar, another Korok, has gotten trapped in the Forbidden Woods and it's up to us to save him. The Deku Tree summons our next item, the Deku Leaf, and we travel via Boom Plant and can add it to our inventory. The Deku Leaf acts as our glider and gives us magic, plus will allow us to access the Forbidden Woods. The Forbidden Woods is what I consider the first real challenge in Wind Waker. I know as a kid this dungeon really stumped me. With that said, the doors and chests in this dungeon are protected by blue plants and we use the Deku Nuts to break the plants. We will also use the Deku Leaf as a fan to propel platforms throughout. Traversing through the dungeon, we're attacked by Mothman. We quickly dispose of the insect and we receive our reward, the boomerang. With the boomerang in hand, we can destroy those blue plants blocking doors and chests as well as cutting down vines. We continue through and find a treasure chart. We make our way to a room that has the boss key in it and we solve a very easy boomerang puzzle and we can add the boss key to our inventory. Upon doing so, we're jumped by some enemies and devastate them. Before we tackle the boss, we head back to the entrance and secure our final chest, which contains a treasure chart. With everything collected, it's time to save Makar. The boss of the Forbidden Woods is the Glizzy Gobbler. We use our boomerang to divine the gobbler and take it out. With the balls taken out, we save Makar and can grab another heart container. With Makar saved, the Deku Tree and the Koroks are so thankful, and we receive Aurora's Pearl. Makar plays us an amazing song, we vibe out, and we also learn that the Koroks are leaving Forest Haven to spread seeds, and this will be a big side quest later on. Before we leave Forest Haven, we glide on over to a distant island and find another treasure chart. As we go to leave, we check the post box and receive a piece of heart. Back out at the Great Sea, we charge some more of the map and complete a few more treasure charts. Along the way we find Cliff Plateau Island and solve the mini jump puzzle and receive yet another treasure chart. We find another floating enemy base and defeat the crew and can find another piece of heart. We head to Angular Isles and find a sunken treasure that gives us a piece of heart. We then climb up Angular Isles and at the top we get another piece of heart. We head over to Two Eye Reef and do battle with a giant squid, or Big Octo. Using our boomerang, we make quick work of the Octo and a fairy appears and gives us double magic. We head on over to Headstone Island and use a seagull to collect another piece of heart. As we leave, we come across another enemy sub and so bomb-wielding 6-9s. We quickly dispose of them and collect a treasure chart. We then head to Horseshoe Island and play a few rounds of golf using Deku Nuts. A hole opens up and we defeat some Mothmen and receive another treasure chart. Before we leave, we use our Deku Loop to clear a gap and yet another treasure chart is in our possession. We then head over to Diamond Step Island and use our grappling hook to pull up a piece of heart. Heading north, we arrive at Needle Rock Isle and use a pair to take control of a seagull to activate a switch atop a huge pillar, and in doing so, we get a piece of heart. Heading even further, we arrive at Great Fish Isle and it's in complete disarray. The postman shows up and asks us if we've seen Jaboon. He mentions Jaboon is most likely sealed at Outset Island behind a strong wall and we need bombs to break it. Before embarking out, we use our Deku Leaf to glide to a secret hole in the wall and get another piece of heart. Our main goal is now Windfall to get the bombs. Before we get there, we find yet another enemy sub and take care of some moblins and grab a piece of heart. With everything we can do at the Great Sea complete for now, we finally make it to Windfall Island. As we pull up, we notice the pirate crew from the beginning of the game is anchored here. We head on over to the Picto Box house and give Lenzo a Firefly from Forest Haven and gives us the deluxe Picto Box. This will allow us to take colored photos. We head into town and the windmill needs some convincing to start up, aka climbing up to the top and pressing the switch. The windmill acts as a Ferris wheel and we ride in order to get to a secret room at the Picto Box house and we snag a treasure chart. We also snag a pic of Lenzo and his love interest. We head back to the bomb shop and we see the pirates are ransacking the place with the shop owner tied up. Tetra notices us and suggests the pirates go enjoy some food, thus leaving their ship unattended. We learn the password for the ship and we use that to meet with our cousin Nico. We complete another one of his jumping puzzles and receive the bombs. Leaving the ship and doing some bowling, we check up on the post box and receive the beetle chart. We then embark back to Outset Island. We see our amazing grandma and she's sick, so we use a fairy to heal her up. We receive her hearty soup and head on out. We head back to the forest where we originally found Tetra and use our bombs to access a hidden fairy fountain. We get a wallet upgrade so we can hold more rupees since we really about our money. The post box is shaking away and we get a letter from the manager of Rock Spire shop and they mention they have a bottle, piece of heart, and treasure chart. We then head to Orcas and take another sword lesson, hit him 500 times and get another piece of heart. We head to the back of Outset Island and use our bombs to break the wall that Jaboon is behind. After some discussion, we receive Naryu's Pearl, and with that we have all 3 pearls needed to access the Tower of the Gods. Before we set the pearls at their respective statues, we head on out to the Great Sea to grab a few things. Traveling out, we come across Stonewatcher Island and we use our bombs to destroy the enemy cannons and can acquire a piece of heart. We head on over to the private oasis and grab another treasure chart. Just north of Tingle Island, we encounter a giant Octo, and after defeating it, we get a piece of heart. We head on over to Spectacle Island and our favorite pirate enthusiast has another minigame for us. Unlike the Battleship game, all we have to do here is sink pirate ships at a fixed distance. In completing the minigame, we receive a treasure chart and a piece of heart. Not too far from Spectacle Island, we find enemy sub and we can grab another treasure chart. We can head to the Northern Fairy Island and the fairy gifts us with our largest wallet that can hold 5,000 rupees. This will be very important late game. We head on back to Windfall Island to knock out a few things. We go back to the auction house and win yet another treasure chart and a piece of heart. With our deluxe Picto box, we snap a pic of a lady who just loves the picture so much, she gives us a treasure chart. We then spread some gossip to 2 ladies about Lenzo, and they appreciate it so much they give us a treasure chart. A nice blue-haired lady would love a picture as well, so we take her photo and we show it to a strapping young fellow who's clearly about her. We use the song of passing to bring us a few days forward and find the 2 on a date at the cafe, and they gift us a piece of heart. We then go back to night and go atop a stone bridge and take a fantastic pic of the moon. We then show it to a freckled fellow who loves the pic so much and gives us a treasure chart. We then head to Miss Marie's school and give her 20 joy pendants, and she gives us the cabana deed. This will allow us access to the private oasis island we visited earlier. We give her 20 more joy pendants and she gives us the hero charm. With Windfall wrapped up for now, we head on out to the Great Sea. We head to 5-Star Isles and pull up a sunken treasure that gives us another piece of heart. We come across an enemy sub filled with meepers and take care of them and get a treasure chart. We go to Half Crescent Moon Island and use our trusty grappling hook to pull up yet another piece of heart. On the actual island, we find a chest containing a treasure chart. We come across another giant octo and defeat it to claim another piece of heart. Since we're around Dragon Roost, let's stop by to collect a few things. We use a pair to control a seagull and set off a chain of explosions that drops the chest with a crispy silver rupee. Before we head out of Dragon Roost, we give a guard 20 golden feathers and will be rewarded for this later on. Back out at sea, we head on over to the flight control platform and the mailbox is bouncing. We receive a letter from the girlfriend of the guard we gave the 20 golden feathers to, and it contains a piece of heart. Our goal here is to see how far we can glide with the Deku Leaf. After completing the challenge, we can collect another piece of heart. We then traverse to Eastern Fairy Island, and inside we receive a larger bomb bag that can hold 60 bombs. We go to the bomb island and complete a Dragon Roost inspired puzzle and can collect another piece of heart. We head on by to the Forest Haven and pull up another piece of heart. We proceed to Southern Fairy Island and head inside to get our final bomb bag upgrade. We also pull up a piece of heart. We then find 3 enemy lookouts, and in doing so, we get a treasure chart. We head on over to 3-Eye Reef and grab a piece of heart. We head on over to Rock Spire Island and blow up some rocks, and we're ambushed by Batman. After defeating the bats, we get another treasure chart. Still around Rock Spire, we take out some enemy ships and they drop us another piece of heart. We also find the Rock Spire shop and pick up the bottle, a piece of heart, and a treasure chart. We then head to Star Island and can pick up another piece of heart. With the Great Sea wrapped up for now, let's head on back to Windfall. At Windfall, we meet up with the merchant and we are given a town flower and we use them to cover Windfall. This is the start of a lengthy trade quest. After we decorate the town, we speak to a guy on the bench and he loves it so much he gives us a piece of heart. Finally, with the Great Sea and everything else done for now, we set the 3 pearls and they form the Triforce, and in the center, the Tower of the Gods emerges. The Tower of the Gods is such an awesome dungeon. Our main goal is to complete this dungeon to prove we have courage. The tower itself utilizes changing water levels and pressure plates that require specific statues to be used to activate them. As we make our way through, we learn about the Call ability that allows us to lead sentient statues. In doing this, we bring one of these statues to a large room and a song appears. This is the command melody, which will allow us to take control of these sentient statues. With the command melody in hand, we leave one of these statues on a pressure plate and that allows us to access the mini-boss of this dungeon, the Dark Nut. This fight isn't really tough as you can spam your parry attack. Once defeated, we open the chest revealing our prize, the Hero's Bow. With the bow, we can shoot the eyes throughout the dungeon which will activate various platforms. With that, we were able to bring another statue to its podium. We make our way into an arena-esque room and use the Wind's Requiem to summon a chest containing a treasure chart. We find the 3rd and final statue and get it back on its podium, and the 3 shine their light into the middle, thus creating a light that carries us higher into the dungeon. We solve a painfully easy pressure plate puzzle and acquire the boss key. We ascend the tower and make our way to the boss room. This boss is really cool as it requires the use of 2 key items, the bombs and the bow. We use our bow to shoot the hands and eyes of the modern Bongo Bongo, and that gives us a chance to toss a bomb right into its mouth. After rinsing and repeating this, Bongo Bongo is defeated. We grab a heart container and ascend to the top of the tower and do one of the most beautiful things in a Zelda game. We use our grappling hook and ring the bell atop the Tower of the Gods. This reveals a portal to good old Hyrule. We descend down into a frozen in time Hyrule. Inside, we see enemies that have stopped mid-motion and are scattered throughout. Our goal here is to find the basement. We use triangular blocks and move them to form the Triforce symbol. In doing so, we now have access to the basement. We arrive at a pedestal and we find the Blade of Evil's Bane, the Master Sword. Color rushes in, all those frozen enemies are moving, and we acquire the Master Sword. The castle is littered with moblins and darknuts, so we proceed to devastate all of them, and we hop back on the King of Red Lions and leave Hyrule. Before we fully leave the Tower of the Gods, we actually head back in and use our bow to reveal a hidden treasure chart. With that, we've officially completed the Tower of the Gods. We head back out to the Great Sea, and we now want to find Cyclos, the brother of the frog we met at Dragon Roost by the Wind Shrine. We use our trusty bow to take care of him, and he teaches us the Ballad of Gales, which is Wind Waker's fast travel. This will make traversing the Great Sea much, much faster. We head to Paw Print Isle where we pull up a piece of heart. Not too far, we find a triple stack lookout and take care of the enemies, and we grab a treasure chart. We then head to the flight control platform and take care of an enemy sub. In doing so, we acquire the platform chart, which shows us the location of all the lookouts in the game. With the Ballad of Gales, it's time we take care of the lengthy trade quest and help out the Koroks and their withering Deku trees. We first head to Great Fish Isle and meet a Goron who is a traveling merchant. He mentions he's looking for rare items, so we offer him a town flower, and he trades us a sea flower. We trade him back the sea flower for an exotic flower. We then head to Bomb Island and see a Goron and trade the exotic flower for the Sickle Moon flag. We then trade the flag to the Goron for the Fountain Idol. Heading over to Mother Child Isle, we see a red shirt Goron and we trade the Fountain Idol for the Big Sail flag. We head back to Great Fish Isle and trade the Big Sail flag to the Goron, and it gives us a Hero's flag. We trade that away for the Postman statue. Back at Mother Child Isle, we trade the Postman statue for the Shop Guru statue. We then take that back to Great Fish and trade the Shop Guru statue for a piece of heart. Lastly, we head to Windfall Island and see the merchant who is so happy we stocked his shop that he gives us the magic armor. And with that, the trading quest is complete. Now it's time to save some Deku trees. We head to the Forest Haven and get some of the spring water, but it only lasts 20 minutes, so we have to work fast. We first head over to Great Fish Isle, Needle Rock Isle, Mother and Child Isles, Star Island, Shark Island, Link's Oasis, Eastern Fairy Island, and finally Cliff Plateau Isles. With all the Deku trees saved, we receive a piece of heart. With some side quests knocked out, it's time to storm Forsaken Fortress. As we storm the gates, we don't have to approach the fortress in fear like we did at the beginning of the game. We approach the main gate and Phantom Ganon appears. In OOT fashion, we have an energy ball volley and we defeat the Phantom. A chest appears and we get the Skull Hammer. With the hammer, we're able to make it to the top of the fortress and it's time to save our sister and the other kidnapped girls. Tetra appears and she recognizes our Master Sword. The pirates manage to save the girls and we have one final goal here: defeat the Helmrock King. We make it to the top where the Helmrock King emerges and it's time to fight. Using the hammer, we break the mask, and after some well-timed strikes, the Helmrock King is defeated. We receive a heart container and go to confront Ganon. Ganon recognizes our blade but mentions it's not full power and cannot damage him. Ganon takes care of us, and before he deals the fatal blow, Tetra intervenes. Ganon notices his Triforce of Power is shining through his hand, and he now knows that he has Zelda in his hands. Luckily, we're saved to the last second, and our dragon friend Baloo burns Ganon in his base as we escape. Back at the Tower of the Gods with Tetra, we take her down to Hyrule and we head to the basement and meet the King of Hyrule. He mentions he is also in fact the King of Red Lions. He shows Tetra the Triforce of Wisdom and she transforms into Zelda we all know. The King mentions we must return power to the Master Sword, and in order to do that, we must complete 2 temples, the Earth and Wind Temple. Before we tackle the temples, we clear out 6 Eye Reef and get a treasure chart. We then head to Northern Triangle Island and pull up a chest containing the Octo chart. We clear out Cyclo's Reef and get another treasure chart. We then pull up the Light Ring chart from destroying a boat. We then head to 2 Eye Reef and get yet another treasure chart. We head to 5 Eye Reef and guess what? Another treasure chart. 3 Eye Reef is up next and we clear it out and get another treasure chart. Finally, we head on over to 4 Eye Reef and we find the Great Fairy chart. And another treasure chart. We then head to Western Fairy Island, and in the mailbox we get the Incredible chart. We use our hammer to open the entrance and we get our first arrow upgrade, which allows us to carry 60 arrows. We find Thorn Fairy Island, and inside we get our final arrow upgrade, which allows us to carry 99 arrows. Using the Ballad of Gales, we travel to Mother and Child Isles, and inside we meet the Queen of Fairies. The Queen then grants us the fire and ice arrows. With our gathering complete for now, let's head back to Windfall Island. We go atop the windmill, and with our newly acquired fire arrows, we light up the lighthouse beacon. This reveals a hidden chest right outside of Windfall. Within the chest, we receive a piece of heart. Right outside the auction house, we find a blonde girl by herself. She runs off, and we have to essentially follow her throughout Windfall. Eventually, we catch her red-handed trying to open the safe of the merchant's stall. She goes on to explain how she was the richest girl in town before she was captured and taken to the Forsaken Fortress. After hearing her tale, she gives us our final empty bottle. We then head to the top of the auction house and we see the poor old man from earlier, and he is upgraded. We speak with a nice girl and she asks us to mail Maggie's letter for her. She tells us to swear we won't read it, and we successfully drop it off. Back in the auction house, a postman has confronted our old friend and they are having a squabble. We then head to the cafe and meet up with the postman, and he gives us Moblin's letter to deliver to Maggie. We do just that, and Maggie is so happy she gives us a piece of heart. We give the old man 20 skull necklaces and he gives us a treasure chart. With Windfall wrapped up for now, we can head on out. We head to Rockspire Island and pull up a piece of heart. We then go to Overlook Island and pull up the secret cave chart. We head by the flight control platform and can pull up the Island Hearts chart. Using our ice arrows, we arrive at Fire Mountain and freeze the lava spewing out. We don't have much time, so we rush inside and get the power bracelets. These allow us to lift enormous rocks. Before we can properly use the power bracelets, let's collect a few more things. We head to the boating course and can pull up the Sea Hearts chart. We can head to an ice-covered island and use the fire arrows to thaw it out. Like the Fire Island, we have a time limit to go in and get what we need. After some slipping and sliding, we acquire the iron boots. As we leave, we use our fire arrows to melt some ice and acquire a treasure chart. Back at Outset, we use our bracelets to carry an absolute unit and toss some bait to have it find us our next piece of heart. We stop by Orca's and give him some Nightcrest, and he teaches us the Hurricane Spin attack. We stop by Headstone Island, and using our power bracelets, we find a large stone tablet. We whip out our Wind Waker and learn Earth God's lyric. The Zora Sage emerges, and she tells us to find someone that has an instrument that matches her to break the tablet and access the Earth Temple. With this information, we head to Dragon Roost Island. Back at Dragon Roost, we find Medley playing said instrument and we play her the Earth God's lyric. She flawlessly plays it with us and mentions its familiarity. She proceeds to faint and has a vision of the Zora Sage. She awakes and mentions that there's something she must do. She knows she's the Sage of the Earth Temple. With her aboard our boat, we head on out to Headstone Island. Together with Medley, we play Earth God's lyric and the stone tablet crumbles, revealing the entrance to the Earth Temple. The Earth Temple is a dark and eerie place. With Medley, we're able to use her to glide across gaps, and we also have the ability to use a command melody on her. It also turns out her instrument can reflect light, which is extremely useful in the dark dungeon for revealing hidden chests and secrets. As we make our way through the temple, we enter a room and fight the mini-boss, a group of Stalfos. Once we destroy its body, we then have to destroy the head to stop it from regenerating. After we defeat the group, we acquire the Mirror Shield, and I personally say this is the best design of the shield. We make our way back to the main hub room, and using Medley and our own Mirror Shield, we activate the giant sun face and it reveals a hidden staircase. We cross a bridge and use the Earth God's lyric to crumble yet another stone tablet. We clear out a room of grabby hands and a chest spawns containing a treasure chart. We head deeper into the temple and we go through the task of completing a massive light puzzle using huge mirror statues. With this, we're able to light another sun face and continue. We take care of a few Stalfos and a chest spawns containing another treasure chart. We come across a room where we must defeat a Dark Knight and some floating skulls and acquire the boss key. We make a long trek back to the top where we initially entered via Sunface door, and it's time to face the boss. The boss is a massive Poe that is composed of many Poes. We use our Mirror Shield to materialize the giant Poe and toss in some spikes to break it up. After some rinse and repeat, the giant Poe is defeated. With its defeat, we obtain a heart container and we place our Master Sword in the glowing Triforce. We perform the Earth God's lyric with Medley and the Zora Sage, and in doing so, the Master Sword is now at 50% power. With the Earth Temple now complete, we say our goodbyes and head on out. Now, it's time to tackle the Wind Temple. We head to Gale Isle and use our iron boots and skull hammer to break the wind rock. Inside, we find a stone tablet and learn Wind God's area. In doing so, the Wind Sage appears and he mentions we need to find a person with the same instrument. Luckily, we know just the Korok. We head to Forest Haven and use a grappling hook to swing into the waterfall. Inside, we find Makar playing the same instrument as the Wind Sage and we play him the Wind God's aria. Makar plays a song and the Wind Sage appears in his place. Makar then realizes it's his duty to restore the Master Sword's power. Before we head to the Wind Temple, we stop at Bomb Island to pull up a piece of heart. We make our way to the Wind Temple and we play the Wind God's aria with Makar to break the stone tablet. Like Medley, we can use the command melody to take control of Makar. Makar has some unique abilities such as playing trees and flying. As we continue, Makar gets captured and we have to free him from his cage. As we work on doing that, we use our iron boots to break a few floor panels and grab a treasure chart. We then make our way to the mini-boss room and take care of some wizards to get the hook shot. Using the hook shot, we make our way back to Makar and can use a combo of iron boots and hook shot to pull down the giant rock keeping Makar locked up. We then go all the way to the bottom of the temple and Makar plants 2 trees to activate the wind fan. A bit deeper in, we find another stone tablet and use the Wind God's aria to break it. Inside the newly revealed door, we defeat some dark nuts and get the boss key. We then progress a bit further into the temple and finally make our way to the very bottom below the wind fan. We defeat some Stalfos and wizards and find some hidden bokoblins hiding behind some stones to reveal another treasure chart. We make our way to the final stone tablet and once again play the Wind God's aria. The tablet crumbles and now it's time to take down the boss. The boss is a giant sand serpent and using our hook shot we grab its tongue to do damage. After some rinse and repeat, the serpent is defeated. We grab what is now our final heart container and we play the Wind God's aria with Makar and the Wind Sage to bring the Master Sword back to full power. With all that out of the way, the Wind Temple is now complete. Now comes the most tedious part of the original Wind Waker, gathering the Triforce shards. Before we start our collectathon, we head to the building course and finally get the submarine chart. We then go to Thorn Fairy Island and pull up a piece of heart. Funny enough, I forgot to talk to a windmill enthusiast at Windfall Island and he gives us a piece of heart. So the fun part of the Triforce gathering is that it is very expensive. In total, there are 8 Triforce shards, but the bad thing is the actual Triforce shards themselves won't spawn until we decipher the charts at Tingle's Island, which cost 398 rupees a piece, or 3,184 rupees in total. With that all laid out, let's begin gathering. We first head on out to the Isle of Steel and defeat some boats and use Winds of Requiem to spawn our first chart. We then head on over to our oasis and use the Cabana Deed to gain access. We then drop down to a labyrinth riddled with 6 nines, but we make it through and can claim our second Triforce chart. We then head to Stonewatcher Island and can pick up our third Triforce chart. Needle Rock Isle is up next and we destroy a trio of boats and we can grab our 4th Triforce chart. We then head to Bird Peak Rock and grab our 5th Triforce chart. We head on over to Overlook Island and grab our 6th Triforce chart. Our next chart resides on the Ghost Ship. In order to actually encounter and enter the ship, we need the Ghost Ship chart. We head to Diamond Step Island and solve a jar teleportation puzzle and finally acquire the chart. We end up finding the Ghost Ship out by Spectacle Island. The Ghost Ship is one of the cooler hidden secrets in Wind Waker. As we make our way through the haunted ship, we grab our 7th Triforce chart. And finally, our final Triforce chart and heart piece are no other than Outset Island. In order to get our prizes, we must complete the Savage Labyrinth, which is like the Pit of 100 Trials and 1000 Year Door. After a long time, we collect our 8th Triforce chart and our final piece of heart. With all the Triforce charts, let's head to Tingle's to decipher them. After spending basically all of our money, the charts are readable and the shards themselves have spawned. We head to Greatfish Isle, Gale Isle, Stonewatcher Island, Outset Island, Cliff Plateau Isles, Southern Triangle Isle, 7 Star Isles, and finally 2-Eye Reef. With all the shards now collected, we assemble the Triforce of Courage. Before we head back into Hyrule, we ensure all 41 charts have been completed, all upgrades have been acquired, and all items except for 1 has been collected. With everything checking out, let's head down to Hyrule one final time. Using our Triforce, we summon the portal at the Tower of the Gods. We head into the basement to find Zelda safe and sound, but she suddenly teleports away. Ganondorf has stolen her. We battle with a pair of Dark Nuts and escape to the Bridge of Hyrule. We use our Master Sword to destroy the Dark Force field preventing us from continuing, and we make our way up the trail. We find ourselves inside a cave and enter Ganon's Tower. The goal here is to refight the 4 main bosses we defeated throughout the game, including Goma, Glizzy Gobbler, Chungus Po, and finally, the Sand Serpent. After we do so, the main door crumbles away and we continue our way into the tower. We find ourselves in a maze-like corridor and must do battle against Phantom Ganon. His sword drops and the handle it faces is the way we need to go. After some trial and error, a chest spawns and we get our final item in the game, the light arrows. We use the light arrows to finally defeat Phantom Ganon once and for all and use his sword to break away even further into the tower. We make our way to a room where Zelda is napping away and Ganon goes through a transformation. Puppet Ganon. Puppet Ganon has a few phases to it, including a pig, spider, and a snack. We use our light arrows to hit the ball on each puppet and we defeat the puppet. At this point, Ganon acknowledges us and we climb quite literally to the top of the tower. At the top, Ganon does his bad guy monologue and he blitzes us and beats our ass. Using the 3 gathered Triforce pieces, Ganon summons the Triforce to grant a wish. But before he can make it, the King of Hyrule appears and he wishes for our future and begins to flood Hyrule. The Triforce begins to shine and his wish is fulfilled. Water begins to flood the arena and it's time for the final battle to begin. Zelda assures us that we'll be okay and will be very helpful for this battle. During the battle, Zelda shoots light arrows at Ganon to stun him while we piece him up with the Master Sword. After some damage, Ganon is fed up and he smacks Zelda down, so now it's just a 1v1. We fight mostly defensive and eventually Zelda arises again. Instead of shooting Ganon, Zelda shoots our mirror shield and it reflects off to hit Ganon. Boom. And with that, Wind Waker 100% is complete. With a fantastic game, fantastic cutscene, fantastic stab, everything. It's finally done. It is finally done. With Ganon stunned, we perform a final parry attack and brutally stab Ganon in the head. He turns to stone and the king sends us back to the surface while Hyrule floods. With Ganon defeated, we have finally completed The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker and can wrap up one of my favorite games of all time. When I first started this challenge, I knew I had my work cut out for me. Wind Waker is a massive game with a ton of things to do and collect. Throughout what seemed like countless hours, the 100% got more and more manageable. Wind Waker is a special game, so if you haven't had the chance to play it, please do. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to sub and like, it helps out a ton. Also, feel free to comment on what game you'd like to see 100%ed in the comments below. Thanks for watching.